So let's break down the arrangement of Minuet in G by Bach. We'll start with the left hand. Bach for his time was tremendously melodic. I mean, he still is considered tremendously melodic. Every voice that he would put in to a piece was in a way its own melody. And the way that it danced around the chords was very musical. And because of that, one of the things that you have to pay attention to the most is your phrasing pathways and how you choose which fingers and which locations on the stick to most effectively play the parts that he's written. So let's take a look at the left hand first. So we're going to start with a root and a fifth on the G, and I like to do it with my first and second fingers. This is fine too, just borrowing one finger, but I tend to find that it's a little bit easier to emphasize the root with both fingers. You can hear the difference, you know, the fifth kind of pops out more versus when I do this, the root is a little bit more present. And that's for 2 beats, and then I use my pinky to play that A so that I can slide back, and I really make sure to open my hand when I'm doing these slides all through the piece. You want the shortest distance between your finger and the next note. And you know, that's pretty much the only difficulty with playing linear stuff on the bass side, is that you gotta have to make these jumps every now and then. But as long as you keep your hand open when you do it, it's not really that difficult. It's a little bit of sliding around, but you see similar stuff in cello or really any instrument. So you're on that A, open your hand up for the second bar to land on B, right there. Dotted quarter note, or rather dotted half note, so that lasts for 3 beats. Then to C with your next, with your second finger, and then back down to B. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's pretty much it. So with the right hand, we're going to start with our pinky on the D, down to our second finger on the G, walk up, 4 on the A, 1 on the B, 2 on the C, and then 4 on the D again. And then we're going to double tap on that G there. 4, 2, 1. Or you could do 4, 1, 2. That works as well. So that'll take us up to landing on the B. As we turn to the C, put our first finger on this E up here, and the second finger on the C, D with our fourth finger, back to the E, third finger on F, sharp, fourth finger on G, then 2, 2, 1 on G there. So we're coming from that B, off of the 4th bar into the 5th bar. We open our hand again, land on A, on the 7th fret, next string down, and then we go down to the G, and I like to use my second finger so I can pivot and put my third finger on the D, second finger on the B, pinky on the G. So coming into the 5th bar off of that B, we're going to open our hand and land on A with our pinky, and then our second finger on to G. And I like to use the second finger because that way I can pivot on this G, put my third finger on the D, first finger on B, pinky on G again. So that whole thing is going to look like this. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then first finger on D, 1. And then we've got this little phrase here. And the way that I do this is same concept. First finger on that D, and then pinky on the low octave D. And I open up my fingers, and this one's a little bit more of a reach. What you're going to do is you're going to try and get your second finger on on C, so you can pull off to B on your first, open your hand again, and then land on A there. Like that. Coming from that A, you're basically just bouncing off of that to land on the B, but we'll get to that in a bit. In your right hand, coming from this G with your first finger, putting your second finger on the C above it, 4, 2, 1, 4, 1, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. Is basically the fingering of everything. Together that's going to sound like this. I said before, you're bouncing from the A back up to the B. So the next 4 bars, the left hand is pretty different while the right hand remains fairly the same. So you're going to start on the B with your first finger, jump down to A on the 3rd beat of that bar, and land on the downbeat on G with your 3rd finger. And then you're going to go from there in quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4 onto C. So I'm using 3rd finger, 1st finger, 4th finger, 1st finger, I'm sorry, 2nd finger. The second half of the phrase is going to look like this. C, 2, 3, B, and then you're going to do C, B with your 1st and 2nd fingers. Then A and G with your pinky and your 2nd finger. And then you're going to land on A. We'll get to that in a bit. The first 4 bars of the second phrase in the right hand are identical to the first 4. Everything there is exactly the same. And when you put them together, it sounds like this. Then the next 4 bars in the left hand, we go from G to A with our pinky for 2 beats, and then a beat on F sharp, to G with our pinky for 2 beats, to a beat on B, and then quarter notes, C, D, lower octave D with our pinky, G for 2 beats, and then G with our pinky. Altogether it's going to sound like this. 4, 1, 4, 1, 1, 1, 4, 1, 4. Our right hand starts out the same. C, D, C, B, A, B, right? So that's 2, 4, 2, 1, 4, 1. Still pretty similar. C, B, A, G, A, and with fingers 2, 1, 4, 2, 4. And then now we go continue the exact same pattern of up 1 and then keep going down. B, A, G, F sharp, G, 1, 4, 2, 1, 2. Put them together and it sounds like this. And then you repeat that exactly one more time. So all together it's going to sound like this. Repeats again. Then we come into the second half of the tune, continue the same pattern of breaking this down in bars of 4 with left hand and then right hand. So the left hand starts out on a G, and I do it on my 3rd finger so that I can travel down to the F sharp, and then I've got E on my 1st finger, G, E, and then I slide up 1st finger still to A, so that I can hit, after 2 beats with the A, I can hit the lower octave A with my 4th finger and then back up. All together. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like that. Now Bach was great at writing these like tongue twister melodies, and this is exactly what I mean. This was probably, this 3-bar phrase, the first 3 bars of the second half was probably the hardest part of this whole thing for me. We're doing Let's go over that. So we're starting with our 1st finger on B up here. We're going 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 2, 1, 4, 1, 2, 1. Because we can't, that's a little awkward. We want to keep this smooth. 1, 4, 4, 1, 2, 3. Pull off to 1, 4, 1, 2. Really slow. So probably the hardest part of this whole tune for me was that E minor bar, the third bar of this phrase, just because you have to shift out of your scale position just to make everything smooth slowly. But you'll wind up back there. So all together this is going to sound like this. Four bars in the left hand, I like to start with my second or third finger on an A because I'm going to be jumping back to the B. Again, open your hand to reduce the distance there. First finger on B, third finger on D, and then I close my hand and put my first finger on that C sharp so that I can then do a first finger on D, sorry, second finger on D, first finger on F sharp, third finger on A there, and then first finger on D. And then, lower octave D to second finger on my, on the C there. The reason I'm choosing my targets this way is because I'm trying to think of where I'm going, right? Sure, it would be easier to go right there, but then I have to go up here, right? At the beginning of this phrase. Right, that seems a lot more awkward than something like this. And even here, that minor seventh, that low D to the C, pulling off to that B, which is the next part of the phrase, but we'll get to that in a second. Pulling off to that B feels a lot more natural to me than, sliding down. Phrasing-wise, it does. Especially since that's what's coming next. In my right hand, I've landed on A on my second finger, so I'm going to double tap to my first finger, and then do this kind of scale shape up. It's just 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, and then I land on my first finger on that G, 4 on the F sharp, 2 on the E, back up to F sharp with 4, down to 1 on A, 4 on C sharp, and then 1 on D. Altogether that's going to sound like this. The third 4-bar phrase starts on my first finger on B, and my fourth finger will jump up to D. Then C to E, same thing, 1, 4, 1, and then back, 1, 4 on A, second finger on G, and then first finger on D right there. And in my right hand, I've ended the previous phrase with my first finger on D. I'm now going to shift my hand so that my fourth finger has it, and then 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 2, 4, just like that. Together it's going to sound like this. And the final 4-bar phrase in the second section in the left hand is going to start on this low D with my fourth finger. Then I'm going to open up and try and get to this F sharp with my third finger. I know it's kind of a stretch, but again, we're thinking of where we're going and the easiest way to get there, and this winds up being the smoothest. And you do your first finger on the E, fourth finger on G, first finger on F sharp, second finger on G, first finger on B, fourth finger on D, first finger on G, third on D, and fourth on G. Altogether it's going to sound like this. In the right hand we've ended on with our pinky on A, so we're going to put our first finger on D below it, and just like we did with the A, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, sorry, 1, 4, 2, and then 1, 2, sorry, 4, 2, 1, 4, 1 and 2. All together, it's going to sound like this. And both hands together are going to sound like this. And finally, when we put the entire second half together, it sounds like this. And then you repeat that one more time, and that's the song. So I found this to be a really good intermediate challenge. It definitely, made me look at how I'm getting through the phrases and each step of the way. And I think that a lot of stick playing is kind of about that. You really have to find the proper path for your hands to walk in order to make your phrasing as smooth as possible, or make it sound the way that you want. And that's something that other instruments have to think about. I think the piano probably thinks about it as much as the Chapman stick does. But something like guitar or violin, you can get away with worrying a little bit less about that, I think, and still make things work. You'll see guys who get really deep into it, but it's not with both hands in the same way that it is, for the stick. Like, I really feel like a big part of, going from an intermediate to a more advanced level is really taking this kind of stuff into consideration. Anyway, that's about it. Take what you can. Good luck with it. Love to hear you guys do it. Yeah, that's about it. Keep exploring.